We have a Trey Hendrickson update that we're going to dive into here on 4Verts. My name is Harrison Graham. Plus, coming up, I want to dive into the Colts QB competition a little bit between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. Welcome in. And Jeremy Fowler reports that Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals have resumed contract talks. Now, there's not really much context to those that I've seen other than communication has resumed. I mean, I think if you're a Bengals fan, you should take that as a positive update because they basically haven't been communicating at all. So that's at least something, right? Now, is it a concession by Hendrickson that he's going to take less than what he initially wanted? I wouldn't go that far, but it's at least a step in the right direction. And I've said it all along. Like, this guy is pretty underappreciated in this league. He just knows how to get to the quarterback. He led the league in sacks last year. He's got the most sacks over the past 2 years by, I believe, 4. He's got 35. I think the next closest is 31. He's a terrific player. And the Bengals' defense is a train wreck. We saw it last year. Lou Anarumo is not a bad coach, but they have just let premium players go on that side of the football, and it led to a downturn in play. This is the one guy you got, and especially with all the Shemar Stewart stuff going on right now, I just don't think you can afford to mess around here. Now, I've said it. I've felt like that ultimately this ends up in a trade, but until that happens, the opportunity is there for the Bengals and Hendrickson to work something out. And I've also said that, look, I think $32 to $34 million per year on a 2 or 3 year extension is more than reasonable. I don't think he's going to top Danielle Hunter on a multi-year deal, and I don't think he should. You know, the Danielle Hunter number is a little misleading because that was a 1-year extension. I think Hendrickson and Hunter are very similar. They're not Myles Garrett. They're probably not Micah Parsons or even Max Crosby's when he's healthy, but I think 3 for 100, 33 per with $85 million guaranteed. I think that is a totally reasonable number for Trey Hendrickson because you know he's going to disrupt opposing quarterbacks. Sure, he's not great against the run, but he's one of the most dominant pass rushers in the NFL. So, like, to me, just be serious for once as a franchise. I mean, you're embarrassing yourself with the Shemar Stewart situation and pay Trey Hendrickson. I know it goes against your MO. We don't pay guys like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Trey Hendrickson all in the same offseason. Well, welcome to the NFL, buddy. Like, the amount of money that's getting flushed into these teams, they make over $400 million. The average fan doesn't know this. $400 million per year on TV contracts alone. I think last year it was $425 million for all 32 teams. That's just the TV money. It has nothing to do with merch sales, ticket sales, all that stuff, which you know is probably another $100, $200 million. Like, be real. I'm not saying you have to be the Eagles and just hand out the craziest signing bonuses every time you sign a player to manipulate the cap. Not every owner group is going to do that, but it's not 1992 either. Like, you got to pay up, and the money is there to do it. So if they could pay Hendrickson, get this thing figured out, I'll be a little more bullish on Cincinnati this year, but I just can't get there at this point in time. I know Joe Burrow and the offense is going to be good. Is the defense? Even with Hendrickson, there's still big question marks, but if they get him locked in, if they can figure the Stewart thing out and just come out of the gates faster next season, then maybe they can challenge Baltimore in the AFC North. Subscribe to the channel if Hendrickson is extended or traded, or if there are just any new developments and updates. We will continue to have it covered here on 4Verts. Hit that subscribe button. Also, turn on the notification bell after you subscribe. It'll give you a little bell icon will pop up. If you click that and select all, you will get notified on your smartphone right when we publish a video. So that helps you guys stay in the loop. It helps us grow. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Okay, let's talk a little Indianapolis Colts QB competition. Is Daniel Jones in line to be QB1 this year? Well, with Anthony Richardson sidelined for most of OTAs and minicamp, Jones took advantage and apparently had a good few weeks with the first-team offense. Jeremy Fowler here on Daniel Jones, saying that he was making his move at minicamp, taking those first-team reps with Anthony Richardson resting his shoulder. Richardson plans to be back for training camp for that battle, but I was told Jones was a fast processor at the line of scrimmage. He had good chemistry with his wide receivers. He was very sharp, as it was told to me in minicamp, as the guy. So it's going to be fascinating once they hit camp in that battle. And I think this is a pretty interesting QB competition, not because I really think either guy is that good, but just because there's a lot of dynamics here. For one, they are completely different players. Like in an ideal world, Daniel Jones is running the quick game, right? Like snap, three-step drop, get the ball out. Anthony Richardson, if all things are going right, he's a big play hunter, right? Like for all his flaws, one thing he does generate is explosives with downfield passing and his running ability. Obviously, Jones can run a little bit as well. But so you've got that, just two completely different style of quarterbacks for Shane Steichen to try to figure out. But also, does this become a coach versus general manager situation? Because Shane Steichen can make it work with the quarterback that just operates an offense, right? We saw it with Gardner Minshew a couple of years ago. They were on the verge of making the playoffs. Now, I think a Gardner Minshew, a Daniel Jones, there's clearly a ceiling to what you can accomplish. Like you're probably not going to find the Case Keenum lightning in the bottle make it to the AFC Championship game with Daniel Jones. But is there a world in a bad division where Daniel Jones is just a ball distributor, gets the ball out to their playmakers, which they have a lot of? They lean on the run game with Jonathan Taylor, and he just low turnover rate guy, and they hover around 500 and maybe challenge for a wild card spot. I do think that's possible. Obviously, with Anthony Richardson, you're still swinging for that home run, which is what Chris Ballard did, drafting him number 4 overall a couple of years ago. But my gut tells me Shane Steichen deep down does not believe he can make it work with Anthony Richardson. He's had multiple shoulder injuries. His accuracy is anything but. It is inaccurate. And, I think he lost some of the locker room last year when he checked himself out of the game because he was tired. It's like, I don't know, man, that's a lot to come back from, especially when you weren't playing at a high level. And, this might be uncomfortable, but it's just a reality. Does Chris Ballard's job security lessen now that Jim Irsay has passed? Because he was Irsay's guy. They were tight at the hip. Because you could have justified Ballard's firing years ago because he has not been able to figure out quarterback since Andrew Luck. And he took this swing for Richardson, and I thought, if this doesn't work, he's going to be gone. Like, I thought this year could be his last year. But then you hear stories out of Indy like, Irsay's not going to fire Ballard. Well, Jim Irsay has passed now. Uncomfortable topic, I understand. But, that's just the reality. So does Chris Ballard deep down think, well, I want Richardson to be the guy. I drafted him, but my owner, who's had my back, isn't with us anymore, and I've got to win. And if Shane Steichen tells me, I think Daniel Jones gives us a better chance to compete for a playoff spot this year, does Ballard just go along with that? Because you see this all the time in the NFL, where a coach is like, I think this guy's better. He's performed better on the practice field, and I'm not just talking about quarterback. But he's a 6th-round pick, and that guy we took in the 1st or 2nd round, we got to give him every chance to play. That's the GM side of it, right? I think when you look at this in totality, I think Daniel Jones starts week 1. I think Shane Steichen is under a lot of pressure to win. We know what he's capable of as an offensive mind. And look, I think they drafted Anthony Richardson because Shane Steichen made it work with Jalen Hurts. Well, it turns out Jalen Hurts is just a much better football player than Anthony Richardson. It happens, right? And he also was on the cusp of the playoffs, like I said, with Gardner Minshew. Daniel Jones, I'm not really a believer in his, but again, behind a better offensive line, they've got pretty good weapons. They can run the football with Jonathan Taylor. We saw a couple years ago in a similar situation when they just leaned on Saquon and just said, hey, Daniel, do not turn it over. The Giants kind of had this sneaky team that made the playoffs. Could that happen again in a bad AFC South? Again, I wouldn't completely dismiss it. So I think Jones ends up being the guy. This Richardson shoulder thing, there was surgery apparently was on the table. Who knows if he's even healthy when training camp gets here. So I think Daniel Jones is going to start. What say you? Who do you think is the week 1 starter? Type DJ for Daniel Jones, AR for Anthony Richardson. Give us your thoughts in the comment section down below. My name is Harrison Graham. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to this episode of 4 Verts. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys soon.